Mañana, 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 mañana is good enough for me. Good morning. Wildflower. I have some ladies waiting, huh? Youchie. Ouchie. All right, guys. So, title of this event. Sorry I'm late. I was entertaining Ernie. He kept telling me this was the last thing he was going to message me, but he just kept on. I don't think he actually has a real firm understanding of what the last thing is. Last thing typically means like it's the last, like of the Mohicans, no mas, no minus. So this fool, he uses the old ideology of, well, I'm not going to say any more, but then again, I'm not going to say anything fucking less. So, moving on. We have a two-part segment today, guys. It will be very uninformative, but should clear the fog from your spectacles. So, what I'm going to do, and I do want to give a big shout out to Crime Stories Obsessed. She is going to have a remarkable panel tonight, slandering Don Wells with a pot dealer and a fucking junkie. So, what we have here, guys, I am going to share the screen. Share the screen. Share. Okay, guys. So, been on the horn with Ernie, like this guy. I'm, between the jaw ratcheting the other night and just this inability to go to sleep, certainly seems as if there is some sort of sleep deprivation based upon virtue of chemical enhancement. Now, moving on from that, we have a young lady here. She has been fucking busy. Have you ever seen a movie when empaths or psychics, they channel some shit and then they're like, hold on, I really want you to see this. They're like, and then when they're done, they're like, oh God, I'm so tired. Somebody carry me. I just can't even fucking lift an arm or a toe or facial hair. So this young lady, well, of course, she's propagandized against me, of course. That's the first thing that you're going to see. But she had some shit on here that was, it was a photo of a police car, and she said that she was sure that there was going to be a statement released by law enforcement that would corroborate the fact that she said that they had found the girl. That post is since removed. Now, this is a thing that, I do have a genuine hatred for people that are abominations to my God. Right now, the way God would want us to do it is he would want me to get into this lady's email and into her text messaging and minister to her, bring the gospel to this woman, bring some Jesus back into that cold, dark, deep, cavernous receptacle that she calls a heart. So this is a thing now, guys. I also want to, we'll do this here. Fair use. So what we're going to do here is fair use is a doctrine in the United States copyright law that allows limited use of copyright material without requiring permission from the rights holders for entertainment purposes and constructive criticism. Will be no educating here. What I am going to do is I am going to reveal some of the very problematic issues that we have with psychics and individuals that impersonate law enforcement that really just have, again, we touched on it last night with the superheroes or the superhero. Yeah, he's a superhero, right? Super. with the hero syndrome, right? We know that with the hero syndrome, guys that or gals that are afflicted with this syndrome, that they will in fact create a crime that they can come back later on around the back end and solve it and be the hero. Also, in this case, collect 325 smackaroos. Here we go. So, I just want to say, she has not been found, and it is not, I repeat, not been solved. Now, when you look at statistics, when you're a YouTube creator or you're just an analytical type person, we look at numbers. So we know that the typical engagement with YouTube commenters and subscribers is about 10%. So we're looking here, and we've just about met that 10% mark here. So this video is actually it's behaving as normal, right? In regards to that 10% rule. So we're not going to go really deep into this, guys. I really just wanted to bring this over and show you and give you my actually, I want to give you all of our professional opinions, because we know this hasn't been fucking solved. Psychics don't solve shit. You know who solves shit? Detectives and police solve shit. Can I get an amen? So, this is a fucking abomination. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear it. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear this. Holding. There you go. What up, Cam? What up, Kitty? What up, Candace? Gang, gang. That is not what that fucking thing. Guys, I have a real problem. I don't. It's a minute and 29. I do know that I can make it another minute and 1 seconds, but I want to tell you what it would do inside of my soul. I would have to evict and extricate and extradite Jesus all the way from my soul to not have this just crushing, demoralizing, defeating feeling about myself putting this sort of material up, right? So what you want people to do is come around and report my channel, but you want to crush the souls of actual human beings that have actually lost some shit that you will never actually find. Listen, I don't advocate or condone hitting women at all. I would never do it, and I won't. But what I will tell you is that someone in the psychic world needs to put a little powder on their right hand and reach out of the continuum and slap the Dallas Cowboys shit out of this woman. Morticia. Now, what we have here right now is what you call an inconsistency. Now, without any context, the prior statement that allegedly Summer made was that it fully crushed her. So unless this is just some sort of sadistic, torturous, just filthy end to this child's life, we now have two official. Oh no, this is actually Rose Bly. I'm sorry. But you see how you get confused. It's all mixed together, right? So I don't actually know what the context here is. But it seems as if whoever the fuck he is, he's got some real issues. They want Chris. Let me tell you this. Pedo is a word that you don't hear, right? You hear chomo, you hear a lot of different stuff, but pedo isn't necessarily the go-to slang lingo that I'm hearing everywhere in terms of pedophilia, right? But who I do hear say and refer to those sorts of people in that fashion is this lady here. This is her terminology. Pedo is her terminology. This is not terminology that's going to come from an EVP, right? EVP, it makes no never mind to EVP. EVP doesn't have a slang dialect. I heard where she said it said Van. I heard, hey, mommy. That's what I just heard. Right? So now we have yet a third modus operandi and cause of death, COD. Now we have a please cut the rope. You have a crushing scenario, then you had a shot to the face scenario, and then you had a rope scenario. Can you imagine what must be on the heart and mind of this woman to be so contradictory to herself? Like any one of the things that you've already mentioned would have been a COD. This isn't even overkill. When you have a crushing, a shooting, and a rope, that's only shit that a fucking psychic can come up with and not be questioned about it, right? Like 239 people didn't question none of this shit. Listen, the other thing is an EVP. The ideology behind an EVP is like a fucking calculator. Do you ask a calculator fucking questions? Yes, you do. But they don't ask you questions back. Sorry, guys. I've had a lot of complaints about the grand rising of my compassion. I just woke up. I'm pissed. My house is fucking 66 degrees, and I'm in here sweating like an exotic dancer at church. Okay, so calculators don't ask you questions back. They don't say, "Are you appeased with the answer I've given you?" Just can't even make your fucking mind up. I think you get the point, right? So, holy shit, right? Us good people that are doing really sound activism and like we have tonight. I have a show with TJ Moonen. He was a guest last week on our segment, and tonight we're bringing on a child trafficking expert. I hate to say that word, but this lady is definitely an expert in regards to seeing all of the precursory identifying characteristics of trafficking and what it looks like. It's ugly, right? We know it's ugly. Good morning, Ernie. So the other thing that is on the list right now, we are going to the wonderful and beautiful Mrs. Cher. Oh, Mrs. Cher, if you're not subscribed, please go on over and subscribe. They have an awesome channel. Not only that, but it's the kind of community where you can feel safe saying the things that victims would say. Right now, let me give you a little bit of rundown on why it is a syndrome. It is an affliction. It is an atypical way of thinking. What you have is you have millions of Americans. We have all been victimized. So let's just say all of us have been victimized, right? Now, what we have is an overpopulated community or communities of victimized people and not enough victim advocates. Who are so what you see is a triggering, right? We talked to Don B. I talked to Don B privately, and he you have seen a change in Don B. Some of the things that Don B was involving himself with online were due to him being triggered about his past, right? So we come on and we don't even know that we're in trigger mode, right? So we come on and we come on in trigger mode, and when we see other people receiving the kind and type of advocacy that we wished we would have had in our darkest hour, you end up having a deep-seated resentment for victims and for the people that help them, because you yourself did not get that. And guess what? I get that. It is it's a fear, right? It's also a resentment. And let me tell you, what we have also on YouTube is we have a great deal of people that have substance abuse issues, right? So um, resentment is a bitter indignation at having been treated unfairly, right? So it also says in the big book, which is AA, that resentment is the number one offender. Essentially, resentment is the thing that helps people collapse all psychological faculties, and really just operate strictly on emotion, and a negative, hateful emotion at that. So, resentment is the chief sinner. Now, when you add resentment with an alcoholic, resentment is the absolute one thing. There is nothing else that makes alcoholics or addicts relapse but resentment. When you have done your full self appraisal and you have done your ninth step and you have bypassed and tried to make amends to each person that you had harmed and touched during your career as a user or a drinker. So resentments are the key offender, the chief offender, right? Now, we had the expose last night about Ernie. Now, I felt really bad the night before last night because Ernie had popped up in regards to a couple of different investigators. One on my side, which actually had been reaching out to me for about 10 days approximately before Ernie even came on the scene. So I did kind of push it to the side because I don't even know who this person is. I don't know what their involvement is. I had not heard of anything. And so I just didn't disregard it. I just said, yeah, I'll look into it. Well, then, of course, about 10 days later, Ernest pops in the scene. And I didn't know anything about Ernie. I'm not one of those guys that my go-to move, and it's going to be, but my go-to move isn't always the first thing I do when I run across someone on YouTube is go check their background, right? Like that's not for me to do. It's a waste of time for me, right? So, but I started to look at a lot of the key identifying factors and traits that I could identify just by looking at Earn on Earn, um, looking at Earn online, right? And so the very first thing, and of course, like Todd Grande says, I'm not diagnosing anyone. I'm just telling you what I think could happen in a situation like this. So I'm well versed in a lot of different areas, and one of those is psychology, and the other one is the application of what you can see applying certain different standards and criteria and protocol to them to start to generically form a profile about someone. So I knew nothing about Ern before he came on the first night. Now, Ern wasn't aware that I had brought him over to, you pay to go to the zoo to look at the way the animals move when they don't know that they're being watched, right? So I bring this gentleman over just so we can get a display of the narcissism, the impulsivity, the hero syndrome, and the little man syndrome, right? So I had absolutely no idea that Ern has a brother named Shelby. I was told about, I don't know, um, about 10 or 20 minutes into the conversation with him, I was told that he had a brother. And so I asked a roundabout question. The way that I stated it was, Ern, you seem really passionate about what you do. I can't help but think that probably you've had of some sort of trauma happen in your life. You've been offended against. That's why you push yourself forward. And I wanted to really actually see what actual hero syndrome looks like, because you hear about it. Let's pull this up, guys. Hero syndrome. I do see. What do we got here? Who do we got? Cash App gang, 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 gang. It's gonna be Melly Mel. I already know. Thank you, lovely Melly Mel. Cash App gang. Thank you, sweetie. Wow, Melanie, you are really something. You know who I think actually may be psychic is Melanie. She just always seems to know. And I want to know, like, I'm starting to, you know what? Like, when I go to bed, I'm going to start covering up my camera, because Melanie, she knows. Melanie, guys, Melly Mel is one of my day ones. Actually, she's a day two, right? But she has stuck and hung in there like a day one. And Mel has really been supportive online and in real life. And I'm happy to have a friend like Mel. It doesn't have anything to do with the money. What it has more to do with for me is that it's like having an old friend reach out to you. There's that feeling like, wow, man, you could have just kept going in life and not ever reached out to me. And so it is an awesome feeling to know that when you're not actually thinking about someone in the moment, that someone else is thinking about you in a very passionate and positive light. So again, Mel, you are awesome, babe. Now, when you go to the zoo to see a tiger, you want to see a tiger with stripes. You want to see the tiger in all its grandeur. And so I had never actually seen anyone that exhibited real hero syndrome that I could actually reach out to. And so once I had immediately identified the hero syndrome in Big Ern, and we're gonna call him Big because you know how like short people, you call them Stretch, or bigger folks, they sometimes call them Tiny. So we're gonna call him Big Ern, right? But I identified him on safari, right? I had him in my scope and I was like, whoa, let me swing back. Like there was a rhinoceros, but let me swing back because now we have a hero here, right? So the hero syndrome is a term used by media to describe the behavior of a person seeking heroism or recognition, usually by creating a harmful situation to objects or persons which they can resolve. They include unlawful acts such as arson. Noted author Laura Berman Fortgang described the hero syndrome as a phenomenon affecting people who seek heroism or recognition, usually by creating a desperate situation which they can resolve and subsequently receive the accolades from. This can include unlawful acts such as arson and attempted murder. So you know that you have the range of spectrum from arson to attempted murder and anything in between. You would put abduction in between arson and attempted murder. So what I want to do now, guys, is I want to I this is no shit. I went to sleep last night and I had the phone in my hand. I was supposed to be getting back to quite a number of people, and I will do that after this. But I feel like God put he put the mission in me this morning, and I feel like He put the mission in share last night, guys. So I fell asleep and I woke up um, to a video that Cher had sent to me. And we had sort of this contiguous, sort of consistent um, thread last night on the live where I had just straight out asked, right? So what we know about Ernie is that he has a brother, and his brother was charged and convicted for killing an ex-mayor in a small Kentucky town. Now we know through Big Earn's deposition on our channel 2 nights ago that, and last night, he comes from a family of killers. Now, when apples fall from the tree decides how far the apple falls. The apple doesn't decide how far it rolls from the tree. So, with the psychology that Ern was exhibiting the first time he came on, he exhibited the type of behavior that wanted you to believe that he was the apple that controlled the roll. Let me tell you, bud, when you play the big game on Earth, you got to watch for the spin. So we had a couple of ladies. We even had an investigator, and there is some chagrin going around, and has been going around for quite some time, that Ernie has slipped up, even in his first statement or his first expose on our channel 2 nights ago. I feel like Ernie may have been chemically enhanced, and he potentially just kind of was just diarrheaing stuff out because see, the first law of power in the 48 laws of attraction, the first law is never outshine your master. So I made Ern my master, and when you have someone that's narcissistic coupled with impulsivity, hero syndrome, and little man's syndrome, you have a real dangerous individual, right? So I have been asking Ernie all morning, because you heard in his deposition 2 nights ago that he carries a gun everywhere. So I said, Big Ern, and Big Ern. On a side note, Big Ern, if you remember that was from Kingpin. Remember, that was Bill Murray with the hair and the bowling ball with the rose, like yeah, Big Ern. So Big Ern made some statements that were, that were shared in a light that if there were any new potential evidence that could pop up in Shelby's case, you start looking at different things like Alford pleas, and you start looking at Shelby coming home if there's been some sort of pollution or whatever. So we have heard. I pinned him down about his brother, and he said his brother was a serial killer, which all we know about is the one murder of the judge. There's also a lot of talk about, unfortunately, and no child should have to go through this, Ernie and Shelby being forced to watch their father drown a man behind a barn when they were growing up. So again, you have Ernie telling everyone that his family is killers. And what that means to me, essentially, when you look at it like a layman, I mean, I know the game. I know what's in that, right? He's saying, I'm a killer too, but he's disassociating himself. He is lessening his involvement with that culturing that is in his family, right? So what he said in his expose 2 nights ago was that they were looking at the wrong person. They were looking at the wrong person. He never did say who that wrong person was. But in his background, there are two criminal trials, or two criminal court cases where the dispositions are sealed. The offense is not given and the disposition is sealed. So that starts to look like that sort of informant type background activity, right? So last night I go to bed and I wake up, and I had a hard time going back to sleep. So I kind of went through my messages and I was like, well, it's late. I'm not going to start answering messages and then have people start answering back, and then it's a no sleep situation. So, but I did go to, and I always am looking for shares messages, because I mean, it just is what it is. She is the lifeline, for me in the work. So I woke up to this video that she had, and I'm like, I watched it and I didn't even take time to process it. I just laid back down and I ended up drifting back to sleep, thankfully. And I actually woke up in this sort of limbo, this, when you wake up and you're like, was that real? And so the first thing I did was, I mean, even before I went and took my morning leak or had my morning cigarette, I went straight to the Facebook looking for what Cher had, and boom, it was there. Do you want to see what was there? BLY. Now, to preface all of this, guys, typically what you find when you see media covering nefarious events is you will it's the old disclaimer, right? The commentary the commentary on this channel is not necessarily subscribed to by the owner, right? So, but what you do, what I get the sense that that the actual news, that the news outlet there, that they have an opinion, and you can kind of feel, I mean, not even kind of, I can feel it. I can feel these peoples that put this together. I can feel their apprehension. I can feel that this is the only way, and they went to the extent of exposing this situation. Listen, they don't just typically bring up people who have been convicted and give anyone a forum to just say, yeah, wasn't me. My lawyer fucked me. Or, yeah, it wasn't me. My brother did it. Right? So, if you look right here, she so masterfully titled this, They Got the Wrong One. Now, that's a play on words, because what we heard him say the first night was they were looking at the wrong one. Right? So, guys, this is in regards to Earn. What I'm going to do, it's only a minute and 20 seconds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play through this minute and 20 seconds, and we're going to do a Steve Johnson, Chris McDonough style statement analysis. Now, of course, we're not qualified to do that, and by the looks of it, neither were those gentlemen. So we'll be doing kind of the same, I mean, essentially the same fucking thing is what we're going to do, right? So here we go. WYMT's Hannah Reynolds has the latest from the courtroom.
From behind bars to the courtroom.
That is uncanny, the resemblance. Holy shit. But I will say that I'm assuming that this is a younger brother, because Big Earn just kind of seems like that kind of big brother that was like, fuck my little brother. Let's, and let me tell you this, my little brother is my best friend, right? So there is a high probability that if my little brother was involved in some shit and had segued me in and I was comfortable for whatever reason, I would participate, right? Like
the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Now, let me tell you this. Because his family is all killers, what we know is Big Earn is only told on one killer in his family, his brother. Why is that? Why has Big Earn not told on any of the other killers? Well, I tell you what. He had a vested interest in this one. He had to tell and make this happen, or else I believe that everything that is you're getting ready to see is actual and factual. Okay?
Called into question questioned Shelby Shell's innocent plea again by asking former detective Michael Cornett about how he connected Shell to the murder of Ronnie King.
Does that change in any way your investigation and your conclusion that Shelby Shell killed Ronnie King as you testified earlier?
Whoa. I'm going to let that hang there for a minute. And then we'll let it go.
Their first witness, John Paul Madden, Shelby Shell's uncle.
So, I would assume he said his whole family's killers. So we're looking at another killer here. But for whatever reason, he's wearing the wrong clothing, right? Like he's got free world clothing on. So he didn't get he did not get snitched on by Ernie.
Was asked questions about the credibility of Shelby Shell's brother, Ernie.
There he is. There he is. Now,
Shell.
I don't have any longer video than just this, but let me tell you what we know about body language, the rapidity and movements, involuntary, in the eyeballs, and in the area, that the eyebrow area around, and kind of certain things that are tied to eye movements will also be tied to movements in the mouth, so on and so forth. So when I watched this last night, the first thing, so that his brother is out here somewhere sitting, right? Or over here sitting, right? I'm guessing by the way that he is, holding his body, I'm guessing that his brother is over here. That's what I'm guessing. Not only that, but typically when media comes in and they shoot things from a perspective, they're not going to shoot it from the suspect's position, right? The defendant's side. They will video from the court side that shows a support, right? So now you also run into things like when a lot of times when you are editing video, I do music videos. For different reasons, you will invert the photo or video. The news does that a lot. You will actually see like guys that will have like wedding rings on their right hand, what looks like their right hand in the film, but then in real life it's a wedding ring on the left hand, right? So it's inverted for whatever reason they found applicable. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing Big Earn. And Big Earn, that was when he had all the hair. So that's a real young look. This guy, he is like a clone to Billy the Exterminator on A&E. Like this guy is an exact clone of this guy. Moving on.
Who testified on Tuesday.
Okay, yeah. So he didn't make a lot of eye contact, right? Alpha men and just the typical protocol for body language in regards to deceit. Pretty much when you're telling the truth, you don't have no reason to look down because the answer's not in your fucking lap. This is from his uncle, right? I mean, we're talking about this is rare company. We got a killer saying that this guy, Ernie, is not honest as the day is long. So he's living in the dark, essentially, right?
Their second, Pamela Stidham, someone who once lived with Ernie.
I've already been supposed to know that if anything happens to me, Ernie Shell is behind.
Wow. Ernie, that's your girl, dude? Oh. I like thick girls too. Sure do. Like skinny girls, medium girls, tall girls, short girls. I think I'm starting to put it together here, guys. I think Ernie's running a cult. Seriously. He's got 35 chapters. Let me tell you this, guys. There is a, let me show you rather, and we're going to get back to this here. There is a organization called Kentucky Colonels. Now, the Kentucky Colonels, well, it is what it is, right? So they're involved in philanthropy, Kentucky style, right? Now, Mr. Ernie, Big Ern, he claims he is a Kentucky Colonel. So I'm not going to do the search right here because you have to put his information in. But so Ernie is not a Kentucky Colonel. He signed up to be one, and he didn't pay his first dues. He uses the initial auto-generated response as his accolade, much the same as he does with this TikTok picture he sends around. Like, that TikTok does not exist, right? He shows it and throws it on people like, this is what I got going. But no, it's not what he's got going. It was deleted because he was putting the likeness of children on his TikTok that were not his. And he was also putting them in precarious situations. So, yeah, that's not what you do. Well, let's go back to this here. Wait a minute. Did I see the word gun? Hold on. Madam, I'm seeing a reoccurring theme with this firearm situation. I asked Ernie 40 times this morning, please, sir, let's end all of this by you showing a picture of yourself holding a gun, right? You've already said online before you thought I knew anything about you that you carry guns everywhere. I'm thinking evidently it's some top secret weaponry technology that he's involved in, because it's a gun that he just can't show. It is a secret squirrel, James Bond, Elastigirl from in The Incredibles, Men in Black, little alien in the pawn shop type weaponry that we can't reveal. Mainly because if we reveal it in our hand, we get the minimum mandatory 24 months for a felon in possession of a firearm. Now,
Michelle's sister, Amber Madden.
There was, in this texting here that I read, some wordplay on a gun. Oh, there it is. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to take it back just a couple of seconds more. Wait. We did hear about that. It was a pillowcase, right? Now we're hearing more about this. I'm wondering why Mr. Ernie was not charged, or was he charged for putting a pillow to her head with a gun? We heard about this last night. Now, this is the corroboration. Actually, this lady is under oath right now.
Michelle's sister, Amber Madden, says she didn't want to think about one of her brothers being accused of murder.
Is there any other thing?
She looked down and said, no. You know goddamn well, growing up in a house with a lunatic like Ernie, she's been threatened her whole fucking life. You can bet dimes to donuts. This woman's been threatened more than the law allows by that man. Right? She came right out and said, no, I'm not afraid of Shelby. She's looking at Shelby saying, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of him. She is afraid of Shelby, or Big Ern. She's afraid of Big Ern. She's afraid of Big Ern, right? She is afraid of Big Ern, right? Like, I don't blame her. I mean, look at the wild. Look, I mean, he is just fucking wild-eyed and crazy, right? Like, what are you gonna do with that, right? Like, you can't handle that alone, right? So,
and with that, the question lingers for the jury. Did Shelby Shell tie up former Everett's mayor, Ronnie King, and burn his house to get rid of the evidence of the murder in 2013? In Bell County,
Now, I'm going to play it from the front so as you can get the full feel, right?
WYP's Hannah Reynolds
you know,
has the latest
you
from
can't just take a Ferrari for a test drive around a half a block, right? You got to put that bitch on the highway, stretch it out, and get it uninterrupted. So here we go from the top, y'all.
WYP's Hannah Reynolds has the latest from the courtroom. From behind bars to the courtroom.
It's a mistake. They got the wrong one.
The Commonwealth of Kentucky called into question Shelby Shell's innocent plea again by asking former detective Michael Cornett about how he connected Shell to the murder of Ronnie King.
To his brother!
In any way your investigation and your conclusion that Shelby Shell killed Ronnie King should testify there.
Their first witness, John Paul Madden, Shelby Shell's uncle, was asked questions about the credibility of Shelby Shell's brother, Ernie Shell, who testified on Tuesday.
Is Ernie somebody you know to be dishonest?
Fuck yes!
Their second, Pamela Stidham, someone who once lived with Ernie.
I've already been supposed to know that if anything happens to me.
Hold on, guys. Hello?
Hey, Benny.
Yeah.
Hey,
Let me call you right back.
okay.
Ernie Shell was the one that ate the pillow to my head and a gun.
And Shell's sister,
Shell was the one that ate the pillow to my head and a gun.
Amber Madden, says she didn't want to think about one of her brothers being accused of murder.
Frank Shelby. Has Ernie ever threatened you?
And with that, the question lingers for the jury. Did Shelby Shell tie up former Everett's mayor, Ronnie King, and burn his...
Hold on. Hello?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. Anyways, I had watched one of the...
Can I call you right back? I'm right in the middle of a live.
Yeah.
These people know that. Why do you call me while I'm on the live?
house to get rid of the evidence of the murder in 2013. In Bell County.
So, did anyone catch the very end right there? This is the important part, and I don't think none of y'all caught it. Holy Colonel Fried Chicken. Arson. Do you know what that means? It means this. Listen closely.
Ronnie King and burn his house to get rid of the evidence.
Burn his what?
Ronnie King and burn his house to get rid of the...
Burnt his house to get rid of the evidence. Then, does he come back around?
Testify.
To save the day and solve the case? That's actually what happened, guys. Call it what you want. But that's actually what happened. He got on the expose 2 nights ago and patted himself on the back for bringing, he said, this is his exact verbiage. I brought my brother to justice. Yeah, you did. But what happened before that, Ernie? What happened before that, Ernie? I'll tell you this, Cher and I, we're both writing letters to Shelby right now. What we're going to do is I would love to, if anyone else wants to reach out to Shelby too, I don't know what kind of mail situation he has, but let's get some information about Ern, right? What I want to do is I want to reach out to Shelby initially, and maybe we can get some money on his books, and maybe, you know, or some money on his phone card. And we can have we could have Shelby go ahead and call in and tell us what really happened, because you know, his voice is behind the wall, right? So I believe that this is an excellent task for Cher. You know, the handle of her channel is Voices Behind the Wall. She helps people from behind the walls. So I'm going to assist Cher if she decides she wants to do it, but I'm writing Shelby. If it's nothing more, well, it's going to be something more. I assure you. Don't we all know that? As soon as we start open a line of communication with Shelby, I wholeheartedly believe. Um, Let me step back. So we know how Chris M has stopped talking about Summer. I and we will never stop talking about Summer. But much like Chris M is focused on something completely different now, I'm not going to change my focus. I'm going to include this guy. Yeah, I'm working his case now. We're going to get to the bottom of it because I truly, truly feel like this man is involved in if it's not this situation, he has been involved in other situations that I believe have not been finalized. There's no finality. Um, we have an individual that claims that he broke his truck through a trafficking compound and grabbed a woman and her little girl who had already been sold. They were just waiting to be transported. I don't know how he knew all that, but the woman had a chip in her leg. And instead of just driving directly straight to the fucking police and making all this stop, he decides that he's going to be the hero and drive her from Tennessee all the way to Louisiana nonstop while people are bashing the side of his car. He said, "Oh, I tried to get the law to stop." Did you try to put your fucking clothes on today? No, you just did it. So I have a problem with anybody that says they tried to do some shit, right? Just like Jackie Dobbs saying, "I think I was cleared." Boy, if you were cleared, you know it. Just like when your birthday comes, you know what age you are this year. If you was cleared by the fucking FBI, they would tell you.
On Tuesday.
Anyways, guys, I think we've seen enough. I really think that we have seen enough. Jan, I have 3 cups in me, and it is just plain hell. So, Melly Mel, again, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, that's the thing. If you ask Morticia, yes, it's been solved. But we know it's not been solved. Yes, he did threaten Don B on the interview the other night. I mean, this guy is just a small, compact aluminum can full of threats. We need to empty it out and squash the motherfucker, right? So that's what we're gonna do. Now, anybody that is interested in pen paling Shelby, if you're interested in having his information, we will forward that to you. He is, in fact, serving a life sentence in a Kentucky penitentiary as we speak. So I do believe that I'm not going to say Shelby's a great guy and that Shelby's not guilty, but what I know is that that was an awful lot of crime for Shelby to do alone. And you know what? Sort of seems as if he was going to get away with this shit till his brother brought him to justice. Anyways, guys, you tell me what you think in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, even hit the thumbs down button. That does also affect the algorithm as well. So, and the thumbs up, thumbs down, they make no never mind to me. So, guys, remember, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. And if you can't be good, just be good at it. I love you guys. Peace.